not in the right place? Now, is that going to be backwards? It is it? Is it backwards? It's not in the mirror. Do you want to change? Welcome! I hope you're all in the right place. I hope you've all managed to click the button and that you're here. Hello! If you're here, just give us a thumbs up, and if you can hear us, that'll help me out. Davina, hello! You found me. I found you. It was so complicated because there was lots of people with different names. Who else is watching? We've got 4 people on. This is so exciting. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for investing the time in me and in yourself. Well done. 5 stars straight away. I'm going to give people some time to come on because I'm really, really excited and quite touched that I'm finally here. Yeah? I want to make a difference. I've got a sincere desire to be helpful. Okay? So if you've been following me for a while, like, get in. Finally, we're in a room together. Okay. I'm going to give a few more minutes till people come in. Rachel's here. Sarah Louise Johnson. Hello, hello. Right. So, this is exciting for a Friday. And it was very last minute because I thought, well, this is lovely to do kind of at the end of the month. The idea is that, you know, we could keep going and working all through July. I've got an offer for you at the end, but we're not going to talk about that yet. Right? You're here because you want something to change. You've identified that, so well done. I'm going to put the comments to the side so I don't get put off. Hi, Amy Owen, Hannah Marie, all the names. I'm going to recognise all your names now because I've got this long list on my spreadsheet. And I'm like, oh, are they in the group? Check. Oh, have I sent them an email? Check. So bear with us, right? Because I'm doing all this on my own. Right. Should we start? I want to talk to you today, right? This is day 1, and I want you to think about it like we're going to square one. We're going back to square one, okay? We've all been back to square one before. Think of it like a game of snakes and ladders, right? So sometimes you're up and then you're all the way back down again, right? So I don't know where you're at. So what I'm planning to do is to take everyone back to square one. So we're going to really focus and find out what it is that we want to change, right? Because we know we want something to change, but do we know what it is we want to change? That is the question. Now, first of all, I want to mention to you who I have been working with and studying and following. My hero, in a way, in lots of ways. And not many people may share the same love for this person, but I love Tony Robbins. Oh, look, I'm getting loads of friend requests. They're too late. I'll send the video out. Don't worry. Right. Yes, Tony Robbins. And the first time I mention him in any conversation, most people go, oh, is that guy who shouts all the time? And he does have a very hoarse voice, right? But a lot of the principles and the exercises that I offer and I deliver in all of my programs come from Tony Robbins and the people that he admires and who he learned from, right? So I have to make a little nod to him. Now, he suggests that the quality of your entire life is the quality of your habitual emotions. So what does he mean by that? Well, we all know somebody who is always worried, my mother-in-law, always angry, my ex, you know, always just frustrated and pissed off. And if you think about it, what it is, it's conditioning. And often it's just that's where we feel at home. That's where we feel most at home. And you can think about it in many different ways, but it's almost like what I want you to try and imagine. I want you to think and imagine if you could upgrade your situation, your emotions to joy, appreciation, passion, playfulness. And then when the negative feelings come, which they always will, they will be a sign to tell you that something needs to change. Because often, if you're like how I was 3 years ago, I was just fed up with everything. I felt fed up with so many things in my life. I just didn't even know where to start. And what I used to do, because I was fed up, I would drink. And I wasn't a drink at home and feel sorry for myself, but you maybe are drinking because of frustration and stress or boredom, or it might be that you're eating chocolate and you don't want to be, or that you're nagging your other half and you don't want to be. It comes out in so many different ways, and one of the ways that it came out for me was alcohol. So that's why I lead with that. But honestly, that is just the start. Removing the alcohol, and then it's, well, now what? Now what do I do? How do I deal with life? And I see so many women in the group who think, oh, the aim is to remove the alcohol, but then what? Then what? You know, that's just the start, isn't it? So whether that's where you're at, we can do it inside out. It doesn't really matter as long as we do something. Do you agree? Right, I want to see if you've got any thumbs up and love hearts if you're following along so far. Let me know if you're following so far, and then we'll move on. How's that? Are we all on track with what I'm saying so far? Is that making sense? Right? So we're going back to square one, and we're saying, right, what is it that we want to change? And what I like to do, yes, we've got some love hearts off Hannah Marie. Kelly's got a thumbs up, so Kelly's with me. Okay, now, obviously, if you're not here live and you're turning up to watch on replay, put hashtag replay, so I know who's consumed the content. Because so often, what happens, you buy the book, but you've got to read the book. You sign up to the program, you've got to actually consume the content. It's not enough just to want that thing or to, well, yeah, you've got to put your time in. And you've all done that because you're here. You can't find the thumbs up. That's enough. I've got you, Elizabeth. I know you're following along. You're listening. Okay. So what we want to find out is what makes you tick. What lights you up? You might already know this, okay? But we want to find out what it is that you're striving for. Because often, imagine it's money. Or imagine it's a big posh house. Or a nice fancy car. Right? So you get the thing. And maybe what happens if it's not everything you thought it was going to be? And you're still frustrated and pissed off, and you've got the thing. And then you feel guilty for being frustrated and pissed off because you should be happy because you've got something that nobody else has got. You know, and I think this happens a lot. And I see this in women all the time because they say, well, I should be happy. What's wrong with me? Why am I not happy? And I think often we turn up and we go, why am I not happy? Make me happy, to our husbands, to whoever. Why am I not happy? But we've got to look inward and think, well, what would make us happy? What would make us happy? Okay, so I want to share with you a story of when I was at a position where it was kind of a pivotal moment for me, because I feel like what happened, it was all, when I trace it back, it was all to do with drink, right? But this was the years leading up to, I have to put my glasses on because my hair looks crazy. It's all over Hexham. That's better. Now I can concentrate. Right. So, drinking too much at weekends, and I would drink until I couldn't drink anymore. I would end up going to sleep, falling asleep, or putting myself to bed. And then I'd wake up in the morning and my husband had gone off. He drank with me. And then when obviously I'd gone to bed, he went out looking for the party. And so I would have, rightly so, a lot of things to say about that the next morning when I woke up and he wasn't there. And I know not many women would put up with this, but I can honestly say, hand on heart, he wasn't off with other women. I know where he was. He was sitting in someone's kitchen, drinking cheap wine and God knows what else, right? And I just feel like that was a massive problem in our relationship. But I never, ever... Well, I did eventually, but I didn't trace it back to thinking, well, maybe if I hadn't encouraged the drinking in the first place, because it was usually me shouting for the wine, I've got to be honest, shouting for the next bottle to open. And I think I just got in a bit of a knot. And anyway, long story short, it's not about me today. We split up. And it was heartbreaking. My children were like 4 and 5. Luckily, I had somewhere to go because I had property that we rented out. We're in the process of purchasing another property, and so I just got so fed up. I phoned the removal van because I used him all the time. I had property. That was what my job was at that time. And he said, yeah, I've got a slot today. And I was like, right, come and get me, the kids, and a couple of beds. And I want to go to that other house. I'm not putting up with this anymore. I was really hungover. He came and moved me out. And well, that was 5 months we spent apart. And I think part of that time, it didn't fix the situation. I still loved him. He still loved me. I didn't want her to be apart. I didn't want her to be a broken marriage. I didn't want to have to share my children with him and him to meet someone else and for me to meet someone else and for all of the things. I didn't want that. You know, I wanted to fix it, but I couldn't see because I was in the middle of it all. I couldn't see. I was just blaming him. And I was sat I was in the pub with my sister-in-law, and she was saying, how are you? How are you? And I'm thinking, you know, these friends and people who say what you need is a good night out. And you go, all right, okay, because you don't really know what else to do. So I was there on my good night out where I didn't really want to be. It was the last place I needed to be. But I was sat and she said, how are you? And I looked behind her and there was the fruit machine, like a bandit, the fruit machine. And it was flashing. And I said, that is how it feels inside my head. It's like there's so much that I need to think about. He had just gone off on a bender, by the way. I had all of the properties to think about, the kids, all the tenants that were had. I just felt like I had it all in my head and I didn't know what to do. So she suggested I went to the doctors, which I did. And he gave me antidepressants. And yeah, the lights were still flashing. They weren't quite as bright. And I could sit there and read a magazine. But I didn't fix anything that was wrong. I just sat it out. It made it easier to sit it out. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to feel like that. And I'm not suggesting that antidepressants aren't the answer for you. I'm just sharing my experience. And I think this session that I want to share with you today, whether you take antidepressants or not, it's going to help you to really focus on what it is. And I wish that somebody had given me this advice when I was at that stage, because antidepressants for me, it just prolonged the problem. It just made me feel that I had to sit with the situation, and that wasn't really what I needed to do. I needed to find a way to take action. And I'm not saying fight through, I mean break it up into little chunks so that I could deal with one thing at a time, right? And that's what I'm inviting you to do if you choose to do the exercises, because it's all right coming and listening, but you have to do the exercises. And I suggest the best thing to do is to do this in your own time at home overnight. So this is kind of homework for you, right? And it's important that you do all the steps, and I'm going to share with you why. So step 1, what I want you to do, it's something that you'll think, oh, it's not even connected. That's crazy lady stuff. But it is, because it's going to clear your energy and it's going to have a big impact. I want you to declutter somewhere in your house. Now, don't switch off. I'm not telling you to tidy the whole house. In fact, I'm inviting you to do an area that just belongs to you. Maybe your knicker drawer or your makeup bag or something that belongs to you. And I think if you just sort it out and get everything in order, you'll be so amazed at the control that you feel. And it shifts the energy. Everything will feel lighter for you. And after that, what I would like you to do is step 2, right? Which is called a brain dump. So I want you to declutter a drawer, your sock drawer, your knickers, your underwear, right? That's step 1. Hang on, I'll just check. Are you following? Right. I don't want to look at the comments because you'll put me off. So that's step 1. I'll come to the comments at the end. Step 2. Now, don't do it straight away. Go and have a cup of tea, have a chat with your family, do something else. Then come back and sit down. Now, you can go as deep with this as you want. I don't know you. So if you'd suggested to me to meditate, I would have switched off, because by the time I chose what kind of meditation, and I wouldn't know, I would feel like I needed to read a book on meditation before I chose what to meditate. So don't worry about that. If that's part of your routine, then yes, meditate first. If it's not, just all you need is a quiet space where you're not going to be interrupted. and you take a piece of paper, I like card, coloured card, and just get everything out of your head. Everything that you need to do. Everything that's in there niggling you. And I'm not talking about reams and reams of writing. I'm talking about things like, you know, the subscription you need to cancel, the birthday gift you need to return, or the letter you need to post, that thing in your handbag you need to sort out. You know, all those little things that are niggling you that make you feel like you've got so much to do. I want it out and in this piece of paper, everything, right? All of the things. The phone calls you need to make, all the things that make you feel icky that you haven't done, so you can really see what it is that's out on there. And don't just think of it as a list of tasks. Think of it as things that you need to put your attention on. You know, like I'm thinking about my dog. He's having fits. And I've been to the vets, but I want to look up about turmeric. Somebody mentioned turmeric for dogs. So I want to spend some time doing that. And I feel really bad that I haven't done that. So if that was on my list, do you know, I would think, right, okay, I can spend 20 minutes doing that thing. And I'll do that tomorrow morning. Straight away, the feeling of control you'll have from doing that, it will change how you show up. It'll change how you're feeling about yourself. And this is before you've even done the thing, right? Okay. So, step 1, declutter an area that belongs to you. I don't want you to declutter something that you have to ask, should I get rid of this? Does this still fit you? Like, one area for me is my littlest boy's clothes, because there's like a year and a half between my two. So it used to be William would go out of it and then Sam would have it. Now, I don't know how, there's a great big gap. So I have clothes in Sam's room that doesn't fit William. They're too big for Sam. And it bothers me every single day. So when I go looking for clothes for them, it's like I should spend an hour and put it into a bag and put it in a cupboard. And that would change every single day of my life. It would, because every day when I'm looking for something, it's irritating us and I beat myself up about it. And I say, oh, why didn't you just do that thing? But it's not a priority. You know, I wouldn't look forward to doing that. But it would make a difference. It would make such a difference. So it's stuff like that. I'm not talking about great big things yet, right? Just all the little niggles, right? So where are we at? Brain dump. Now what this does is it helps you in 2 ways, because it makes you feel clear. Because a lot of the time we go, I've got so much to do, but until you go, well, what is it that you need to do? With me, it's probably ring utility warehouse for some bizarre reason. And I build it up and build it up and build it up and build it up and make it so much bigger than what it is. If I had just done it, just do the thing, right? But for now, we're not doing the thing, we're just making a list. It also helps the fog to lift, because sometimes you can't see clearly. It's almost like you need to get rid of all of this little bits so that you can get to the juice, the stuff, the real stuff that matters. Does that make sense? You know, so don't underestimate the power of doing all these little things, because they allow room and energy for the bigger things. Right, now the next thing, step 3. Okay, you need another piece of paper, and I want you to put into 2 lists the things that you can't control. So there might be things on your list you can control and you can do. There might be things on your list that you can't control. Like, I couldn't control my husband going off, right? I couldn't control that. I tried really hard to control that, and I couldn't. But I could control me. I could control how I felt about that, and I could control the position that I was putting myself in when that happened, and how I felt the next day, you know. So there's certain things that you can and you can't control, and I want them in 2 lists. And with the list that you can't control, I want you to scrunch it up and set fire to it. Somewhere safe, obviously. Somewhere safe. My dressing room is like a bomb site after decorating. But don't take on too much, Sarah. This isn't about getting everything perfect before you can deal with you. It's the actual, it's not really about the task. I'm not bothered that your dressing room's messy. I'm bothered that your head's messy. And if sometimes just having that physical movement of moving things around and having that energy where everything's where you have put it, it gives you that sense of control. And that's what I want you to, before you start on your list of things that are troubling you, I want to put you in a position of control. That's the idea behind it. Because if you start with the list, you'll get overwhelmed and you'll think, oh my God, this is horrible. I've got so much to do, and he does that and that happens, and oh, that's always going to happen to me. But instead, if you get yourself in a position of control, it makes such a difference. And it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to do it all in one go. This is like a routine that you can go over again every time you start feeling that like icky feeling. That's why I move my rooms around all the time, because it releases the energy and it helps you to like focus on what it is that is niggling you. It puts you back in control. That's what I feel like. Okay, so we've burnt the list. Now we've just got one list of things that we can control. Now, whether we want to control them or not is another matter, right? And some of the things you go, oh, I'll put that to the bottom of the list, and I'll put that to the bottom of the list. And the nice things pop to the top, don't they? They pop to the top. But we're not going to worry about that just now. What we want to do next, right, is prioritize the list. But first, to make it easier, we're going to categorize, right? This might sound really complicated, but it's not. It's not. Bear with us. So now you need another piece of paper with 3 columns, right? Because these 3 things that I'm going to tell you now are the 3 things that motivate all human beings, right? Now start on yourself, and then you can start planting seeds with other people in your life. Guess how my husband's 6 months sober now? So find out what motivates him. But first you've got to find out what motivates you, right? So top of the page, you've got health, wealth, relationships. Okay? And then you take your list of the things you can control and you put them underneath them headings. Some of them might fall into 2 areas. Doesn't matter. Put them on both lists, right? So you can see where you're at and you can see which area needs most attention, right? You could even guess before you start. You might know. Think about it like this. You wake up in the morning. Before you open your eyes, you think, what date is it? Oh, shit, my bills. Wealth worry. You wake up in the morning. You think, oh shit, we had an argument before we fell asleep last night. Is he here? Is he in the bed? Roll over, look. Relationships. You wake up in the morning. You're tired. You've got no energy. You've got a pain in your back. You're worried about it. You know you really should go to the doctors. Health. Now you could be going through your day and these little things will be popping up and popping up and popping up. And I just want you to be first aware of them. And then if you can categorize them into these areas. And this is such self-awareness. It is. And this is something that I still practice to do. And I still do. And I think, you know, your wealth area, that doesn't just mean how much money's in your bank. It means how you show up to work, how positive you are about your future and about, you know, your investments if you've got any, or savings, or, you know, this can work on every level. It doesn't have to be that you've got no money. It might be that you're in a tug of war with someone over lots of money, you know. But if it's in your wealth column, it might be you want to not just increase your income, but you might want to decrease your outgoings. And by spending time focusing on which area of your life niggles, frustrates you and pisses you off, you then know when you've got any spare time or energy which list to focus on, right? And not even spare time or energy, you need to prioritize this because it's going to change your life. It's going to make a difference to your day, right? And don't think, oh, there's no point because I don't know the solution. I don't know. Ask for help. You know, other people might have start doing some research, putting the feelers out and think, well, if I knew someone else who'd been in the position that I'm in, maybe they could tell me what mistakes to avoid, or you could learn from other people, or you could do your own research. So when it comes to that, I mean, we invested in property, and it was a 10-year plan, buying the properties. And now it's kind of a 10-year plan to think, right, well, what do we want? We don't want to be left with loads of properties that need new kitchens in 10 years' time. We're thinking smart. Now, I'm only doing that because I've worked with landlords who didn't do that. They didn't do that. And I know what that looks like when you're older and you can't be bothered and you've got properties that are in bad repair. But you'll have your own thing going on in your life where maybe you need to... It's kind of like getting in the driving seat, really. That's what it is. Instead of just being in the passenger seat and thinking, oh, let's just see where we go. This is you getting yourself in the driving seat in whichever situation that you're in, and finding out what I'm going to call it is your dot. This is your dot. Is your dot your health, your wealth, your relationships? Now, it might be all three. But it's your job to sit and think, like, which one would have the biggest impact if I spend some time on this one? No, and it might be relationships. Relationships with yourself, with your loved ones, with your parents, your children, your siblings. And being honest with your feelings, because a lot of women I talk to, they have a lot of resentment. So they're not being honest, so they're turning up to do things that they don't really want to do. And it's about setting clear boundaries, and it might not happen overnight. You can't just say, right, I'm going to change my life and it happens overnight. This is about, imagine you're a farmer, right? And you're driving along the field and you need to go the same part in the field to feed the sheep or something, right? Sheep's in my head, wheels. So you're driving along the same track, and the road and the track's just there, and it's getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And you think you need to take a 180 turn to get off track, but you don't. Even just a slight little increment over time, you'll end up somewhere completely different to where you were going. Do you see? Like that. And that just, that gives me shivers up my legs to think of, because a lot of the time we think we need to do a big thing. You don't need to do a big thing. It's just all the little decisions that you might be making on a daily basis. And it's about self-awareness. And it's also about thinking about who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Right? Because, where am I? That's tomorrow. Hang on. Not too much. This is for tomorrow. Stay there. Right. So, is it time to draw a line in the sand? And is it time to raise your standards? Because the way to raise your standards, you can't just expect more. You've got to back that up with rituals and back that up with doing something different. And that could be a morning routine. It could be this sort of thing. So you say, right, what is the one thing that if I do today, it's going to have the biggest impact on the rest of my week? Or what is the one, person that I can ask for help in a controlled way before, instead of trying to be a martyr and do it all and then freaking out and going, like what I do. It's about saying, is there any chance you could do this thing to make my life easier? And ask them with confidence that that's what you need. Because that's all right. I think the book that I share changed a lot, right? Because the female brain, I talk about the female brain book. It's a bit of a textbook. It's quite heavy. But what it taught me, and I'm going to leave you with this, right? What this book taught me, I always thought that we were the same as men. We were kind of the same, and we just had to fight to be treated the same and have the same opportunities and stuff like that. But what I found now is it's not necessarily that we're equal. It's more just that we're different. So how I see it, since reading and studying everything that I've learned, and I've done a lot of training with a Women Speak, what's it called? Women Speak in America. I've done a lot of training with that. And I think the one thing that sticks out is realizing that we're different. In the way that we're different, imagine, I'll give you an example, right? We needed to go to Newcastle to collect some furniture, and I said to my husband, we need to go and collect that furniture. And he went, right, okay, I'll go on this day and we'll do this. And I went, hang on a minute. He was just straight on in with the thing. And I'm like, no, well, what about the dog? And what about the kids? And what about my mum? And what about fitting it in around like other things? And that's a perfect example, because a man doesn't have the same filter. And I'm not being a man hater here. It's been proven. They've got a different brain to us. So they just concentrate on the thing, where we have this additional filter that helps us to consider not just our own well-being, but the well-being of our offspring and the wider community. And that's like a skill. That's a filter. That's what we've got. And they don't have that. Now, since I've learned that, it's easy. It just seems easier for me to work in a team, and easier for me to think, oh yeah, he hasn't got that filter, so I might need to say that thing. And I'm not saying that just gets him off the hook. It's just an understanding. Does that make sense? I've gone off on a tangent. Hopefully this will help so much since losing my hubby. Oh, look. There's so much to do. Oh, I know, and everyone's going to have a different situation, and that's why it's easier for me to do it in a group to keep it really general. But if you wanted individual support with this sort of thing, then that's kind of my service. I do this over Pen Pal, right? But it's about recognizing where you're at and putting together these lists so that you can see, right, are you accepting limitations that you set for yourself years ago? These lists are here, and you're thinking, well, yeah, but I said I would always do that, and now I don't want to do that, and I've got this job, and I'm not really enjoying this job, and yeah, no, but I did, I wanted to do this 10 years ago. Like me, I started a business, and then I didn't want to have that business anymore because it didn't serve me. It served me when my children were little and didn't serve me anymore. So it's about looking now and saying, right now, who you are with COVID, with everything else, are the things in your life still in the way that you want them to be? Does it still look how you want it to look, or do you want things to change? And then you look at the areas, okay? And this last bit, it's all about you expanding your identity. So this is the first step of thinking, right, what is it that's frustrating me? What is it that I would like to change? And it's about you gently finding out who you are and what makes you tick. All right, so this is stage one, to square one, lists, and find your dot and share what your dot is. I'm going to put on a post with day one so you can put underneath what your dot is. And it'll be really nice because you could buddy up. You might find people with the same dot. You might find people in the same situation. So let's have fun with it, and not to take it too heavy. Obviously, it's like a light way of thinking, right? Which area this week I'm really, really focusing on my health, or this week it's my relationship that's really pissed me off, or I need to do something about all those bills that come out of my bank. I could, thingy my whatever and get things cheaper, or I could change my subscriptions, and so it's just so you know where to focus, right? Are you happy with that? Oh yes, that's true. Now that could happen, Elizabeth. Yes, it's not necessarily the female brain. I should have said that. Sometimes it might be a male with this female quality, but that's just what my research has told me that it's more about the female brain, and it's to do with, obviously, that we have a womb, and we have, we have that we're wired up. If you think our brain is like 2 million years old, we're wired up for survival, not happiness. That's what is a priority to us. So that's why often it's the danger and the stress that comes out first, because we're looking for snipers. We're looking for danger. But we don't need to have that. We're not avoiding the saber-toothed tiger anymore. It's about looking and thinking, well, what is it that I can change in my life, and that you are in control. Do the decluttering first so that you have that sense of control before you do your lists. And I'll see you in the group. I'm looking forward to see what dots, see if we've all got similar dots, and they will change. It'll change over the week, over the month. Obviously, as things become more apparent to you, and you will change, your dot will change, but it's just about recognizing which area is it that you want to focus on. And then tomorrow, we're going to take that area and then we're going to go deep and imagine, right, okay, if you did focus on that, if you believe that is the priority for you, like really getting deep with the why and how that would impact the rest of your life. And that might be because you remove alcohol, it might be because you change your job, it might be because whatever, you know, but we're just going to look at what is actually achievable for you and what you would gain. You know, what is the possibilities for you here? You know, so you then feel it's worth the effort, and then it seems achievable. All right. So thank you for coming. Get your paper and pens out. Get your lists done. Declutter first. Lists done, and then let me know what your dot is. And get it done before tomorrow. I'll be coming on to remind you. Bye from me.